Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And coming up today, AEW has announced its first free video games. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about that. And on top of that, I've got a snippet from WWE on what they really think, or how they really see, Braun Strowman.
Plus, are WWE planning on bringing back someone they recently released, and all the backstage notes on AEW Full Gear. This is the news.
Right, let's kick things off with this AEW video game announcement because there's a lot of it, so bear with me, this might take a while. The company had their first special event launching on YouTube, all kinds of information on their first round of video game releases. They styled it out kind of like a mockery or a fake version of like an Apple press conference. They were all dressed as Steve Jobs and they spoke in his cadence and stuff. It was genuinely quite funny at various points, but it was Britt Baker, it was Aubrey Edwards, it was Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega. They were doing the announcements. I'll take you through it kind of blow by blow, but not in too much detail because we don't have 40 minutes. Kenny Omega spoke first. He was speaking all about the console game, which is I think what most people will be really interested in. He said he wanted the project to be kind of fun like NBA Jam and easy to pick up but hard to master, stating that they had put together a very creative team to make it so. They then aired the first gameplay trailer of this untitled console game. Not a whole lot to it, a few moves in the ring. We saw Hikaru Shida, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega. Looks like they're going for more of like a kind of cartoony aesthetic than the WWE 2K games at least. It doesn't look like they're going for hyper realism with that with the models, and I think that's a pretty smart move. They're developing this game with Yuke's, who had been developing WWE games since 2000 but severed that relationship in 2019. There's a lot to unpack with that in itself. And they have also brought on board Hideyuki Iwashita, who was the director for revered games like WWF No Mercy and Virtual Pro Wrestling. Kenny Omega drew direct comparisons to those games, very highly thought of games, so that's an encouraging sign as well. Omega also said that he wants to be able to provide fans with the best wrestling game in console history. It's a marketing slogan, but we hope it reaches that level as well, because obviously you want things to be good, not bad. Aubrey Edwards showed up. She is involved, seemingly, in the development of the first mobile game, which is Elite General Manager. There was some footage of that. Aubrey Edwards actually used to work in mobile game development before coming into AEW, so that's a good sign as well. She obviously knows what she's doing. Elite General Manager, it's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. If you've ever played EWR or TEW, it looks something like that. You book your own cards, book your own shows, see how you did in the ratings, all that good stuff. Britt Baker showed up to announce the AEW Games t-shirt. Everyone kind of went, oh, what are you doing here? They played it off quite well, kept it a little in character. And the final game, Cody Rhodes introduced this, is AEW Casino Double or Nothing. This will apparently be the first of the games to launch. It's not out quite yet, but it's another mobile game, casino-based. Yeah, that's going to be the first one, but we don't have official launch dates for any of these yet. Stay tuned for those. The console game in particular looks quite early in its development and so forth. They did put a disclaimer out before the trailer was aired, saying that this might not be representative of the final product. Now, because we can't cover every single details of this, if you go to our website right now, we have the full video of what happened last night, 20 minutes, plus a massive press release sent to us by AEW about the game. There's comments from Tony Khan. There's all kinds of information on there that you'll probably be interested if you're into wrestling games. But yeah, man, I mean, this was a cool first event. I liked how they styled it with the Apple stuff. It was a good laugh. And I am all for another new wrestling game. When WWE Battlegrounds came out, I was kind of hopeful that would be this fun arcadey alternative to the super serious 2K games, which had kind of struggled in recent years and so forth. But, you know, it was that for a certain demographic, but old grumpy man Andy Murray was not that demographic. Not 100% what I'm looking for, but a lot of people enjoyed it. Let's hope that the AEW game, the console game at the very least, scratches that itch. And for all my EWR nerds, well, I mean, I'm sure General Manager will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, not a lot to say about this. Like you say, just it's early stages. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, whether you're praising it or burying it because you've seen one image that looks a bit wonky. It's so early on. But it is exciting, like you say, Andy, whether it be the mobile game, which I'm fascinated by as an avid Football Manager player back in the day, or the console game. It's been a while since I've been excited about a wrestling console game, and that used to be my life a few years back. And like you say, very intrigued to see how this develops, and we'll keep you posted. And as you mentioned, well worth checking out the full report, WhatCulture.com, and just check out the full video because you'll know more details about it. And we've got a Twitter question to come about that, so we'll just leave it there with that. But exciting times for gamers and wrestling fans alike. Let's move on and talk about a released WWE Superstar that WWE might be wanting to bring back into the fold. Reports coming from Fightful Select say WWE may want to bring back... No, wait, Jose, no, wait, Jose. Great news to wake up to this. He, of course, was one of many people released in those mass releases back on Black Wednesday in April. He's been competing as Levi Valnez, I'm going to go with. On the independent scene, but his cage match profile, he's only 32, lists just a single match teaming with Gallows to face former WCW wrestler Air Paris and Alexander Koloff back in August. He was with the WWE for about 5 years between April 2015 and April 2020, but intriguing to see out of all the people they released, Andy, this is the one they might be returning to. Now, this may well be just to speculate because he hasn't been doing a great deal, whereas others have been picked up at the likes of Impact Wrestling, etc., or just because they have new plans for him.
It's a strange situation. It's almost like they shouldn't have let these people go in the middle of a pandemic in the first place. But let me get off my soapbox for a second and say I just want to, see the people who were cast adrift get back into the business and get that level of income and get their lifestyles back. So if he gets re-signed, good for him. Wish him all the best.
As someone who constantly talked about No Way Jose, constantly annoyed everyone in the office by singing No Way Jose's theme, and held out a hope of one day being a part of his conga line. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Let's move from No Way Jose to a very similar performer in Braun Strowman. He was a Rosebud once, that counts. Completely different acts, but never mind.
I'll allow it.
Braun Strowman, PW Insider report here. How WWE really sees Braun Strowman at the moment? The answer is as a babyface. That's kind of weird considering he turned heel in the rivalry with Bray Wyatt, and he kicked Keith Lee where it hurts during a match on Raw the other week, but apparently WWE see the guy as a good guy. I mean, okay. They are trying to portray the monster among men as a good dude, whatever, despite his shift in attitude, despite everything else. There's not really a whole lot to kind of unpack here. It's just weird that his portrayal on screen has been so heelish, but apparently they see him as a good guy. What's going on?
He is someone who is crying out to be taken off telly for a bit, isn't he? For his physical well-being, he's probably burnt out through working, intentionally through WrestleMania, and credit to him, the WrestleMania season and all that. Credit to him for just stepping up and becoming a world champion. Do feel a little bit sorry for him that he won that title in front of no one and then lost it before he could celebrate in front of anyone. But yeah, for me, he is someone who I need to miss. It doesn't really matter what they do with him, whether he's Raw or SmackDown, whether he's face or heel. I'm very much at the meh stage. I need him to go away for a few months, come back, do something mad, tip over a building or whatever, because I just don't care right now. Is that harsh, Andy?
No, I mean, it's all subjective, man. It's a subjective experience. What he really needs to do, is take that shirt off, man. Braun's in incredible shape at the moment, if you've seen any of his workout stuff. The guy is shredded right now. Get that stupid green shirt off, man. Flex them guns. Maybe hunk Braun Strowman is the direction they need to go in. Maybe.
Dashing Braun's... I feel like someone's done that before.
Beautiful Braun.
Yes, exactly. Let's conclude by talking about AEW Full Gear. Some interesting notes coming out about this from Fightful Select. In terms of the Elite Deletion, the report claims that was actually filmed a week in advance with a great deal of input, as you probably guessed, from the performers involved in the process. Favourable feedback backstage when they were sort of reviewing that before it even went out on Saturday's Full Gear pay-per-view. They also, AEW pursued photographs of the Full Gear stage. Some people tried to sneak some pics out because they went to an NCAA game at the TIAA Bank Field, which is right next to Daily Place, where, of course, AEW films. And according to reports, AEW immediately disassembled their ring after the pay-per-view, despite the fact they have pay-per-view, despite the fact they have shows there consistently, and, of course, tapings there consistently. But all in all, very good, positive noises coming out from AEW, understandably, about Full Gear, Andy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was an erroneous rumor going around yesterday, circulated by someone who I won't mention, that AEW had like 300 people there producing the Elite Deletion in the middle of a global health crisis, which has since been proven false, fortunately. So it's nice to hear.
Dumb.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to make something up, make it believable in your fabricated letters. But no, it's nice to hear that this went smoothly and this went down well backstage.
I believe a report more that said there was like a cameraman, the two wrestlers, and a referee, and that was it. Because I can just see Matt Hardy running around going, right, I'm going to do this, and then you film that, and then let's bring Gangrel. You're right, mate. Yeah, you're going to come down. Like, I could see that far more. It had Matt Hardy's fingerprints all over it in the best possible way. I really enjoyed the Elite Deletion. It's a silly bit of fun and a nice way to break up an intense card. So, yeah. But I can tell that some people obviously won't like it because it's a cinematic match, so there you go. And that's okay. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Henry Morgan, who says, looking at all the tag team talent in AEW, is it a good idea to introduce a mid-card tag belt where young and lesser booked teams can have something to fight for and unsigned indie talent can also compete like the TNT title? Andy, we've talked a lot about new titles being introduced in AEW. Never like a mid-card tag belt, though. That's an interesting suggestion.
Okay, so there are two titles I would like to see introduced in AEW at some point, perhaps. Not necessarily a mid-card tag title, because I think the tag scene is fine as it is, honestly. I think it's very well structured and so forth, and there's good teams at all levels. But I would like to see a trios title, which it looked like we were heading before the Bastard. Death Triangle would have been my first champions, but they're no longer a thing. Boo-hoo. I would also like to see a dark title. I think that would be cool. Whoa, my throat just got really tickly. Because Dark every week is like 8 to 15 matches. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and there's a lot of wrestlers who aren't on Dynamite. Why not give the Lee Johnsons and so forth something to fight over, something to work towards? I think that'd be a cool idea. It should never be on Dynamite. Just a little thing for the YouTube channel. Juice it up a little bit. Why not?
Yeah, I really like that as an idea. Trios Championship is completely the right call, like you said, Andy. And if you want to use more of the tag division, which is so stacked, and if you want to know more about this or hear mine and Michael Sidgwick's thoughts on the championships in AEW, we just did a podcast yesterday about who all the next AEW champions should be: men's, women's, tags, TNT champions. It's available right now. It's really interesting. WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. Go and check that out. Second question today comes from Hobo Broncos. Talking about the AEW game, says, what will be the first match you play on the upcoming AEW video game? Personally, I'm making Marco Stunt beat Wardlow for the big one.
Christ. I tweeted this last night and got a retweet from the legend himself. I'm putting the Butcher over John Moxley for the AEW World Championship, because if it won't happen in real life, it can at least happen in the virtual life.
Yeah, we've all done a bit of fantasy booking the moment we get a new wrestling game. I still remember just being a huge fan of Paul London back in the day and trying to make him win the Royal Rumble, and they just made him really crap for no reason. It was like, unless he's tagging, he's crap. But yeah, first thing I'm probably going to do when I get this game is just F10 everyone, because it's just my favourite finisher in AEW, I have to say. But I'd be intrigued to see what happens if you play as like Orange Cassidy, whether there's something would flash up like, pump the brakes a little bit, kid, you're trying too hard here. So I'd love to see what that'd look like on a computer game. But yes, very excited to see what happens when this comes out, whenever that happens. Final question today comes from Matt Rains, who says, good morning, brothers. Good morning, Matt. What is your one take from wrestling this year that most people would disagree with? Hope you all have a wonderful day.
I didn't like FTR versus the Young Bucks very much. I'm sorry, it just didn't hook me in the way I thought it would. And it seems everyone in the world thought this was like the greatest tag match ever, which is fine, man. It's all subjective. But I think that's probably the one. I understand why people liked it. It just didn't click for me.
I think that's fair enough. Like, me and Nicholas really enjoyed that, but I know you were higher than we were on Cody and Darby Allin. It's all subjective, like you say. People can have their own opinions, and that's okay. Except when it comes to me telling the Dadleys that I kind of liked One Final Beat. Yeah, I got torn to pieces on that one. I still quite liked it.
Fair play.
Will I go back and watch it? Maybe not. But yeah, let us know your hot wrestling takes that everyone pisses all over in the comments section. But I will move on to today's, and finally, I just saw this on Squared Circle this morning. It popped me on to mention it. Bubba Ray talking all about Mae Young. I love this quote of Bubba's. That's a tough right there. When I first slammed her, I put her down gently. She grabbed my wrist hard afterward and said, "Hot shot, if you're gonna slam me like one of the boys." When I powerbombed her off the stage, she took the whole thing, then she farted on me. What a legend. What a story. Oh, I just love that.
Just ripping a fart at the end of that legendary spot, that infamous spot. Ah, rest in peace, Mae. What a gem she was, man.
Oh, I still remember that series with Bubba Ray putting people through tables, and that infamous quote by JR, "He's in that orgasmic trance."
Yeah, that was an interesting one, wasn't it?
It was bloody brilliant. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts are on for daily wrestling podcasts, including that podcast I mentioned earlier, all about the next AEW champions, and myself and the Dandy Boys later on today previewing the Wednesday Night War. Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Happy Birthday, friend of the channel, Leo Rush.
Hey, happy birthday, Leo. And I should say, I felt awful about this yesterday when I saw people tweeting me. Happy belated birthday to Peyton Bloody Royce for yesterday. Please do something with her and Billy Kay, WWE. Why did you split that tag team up, you idiots? Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilmore. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.